It is not surprising that the announcement of a ban on open grazing by governors of the 17 southern states after their meeting in Asaba on May 11, 2021, has been met with such ferocious opposition by the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria and the Miyetti Allah Hatol Kore, the two preeminent groups speaking for Fulani herders in Nigeria. This is because the ban will affect the economics of their cattle herding business. Open grazing by way of nomadic herding evolved into a culture for Fulani cattle breeders because it is cost-effective. It saves at least two-thirds of feeding cost and does not demand management of land and water resources to sustain raising cattle on them. When forage and water become scarce in one place, the herder simply moves the cattle to another location. Nomadic herding continues to be framed as cultural, as though cultures emerge in a vacuum and are not shaped by factors such as economic ones, and as though they are static. This cultural ownership of nomadic herding has become a major plank in the opposition to efforts to transition this model of animal herding to a more modern ranching one. However, both reasons are false. For example, on the Mabila Plateau, Fulani herders practice ranching rather than nomadic herding, as the plateau, Nigeria's highest, is abundant with water because the rivers Taraba and Donga start there. There is also lush vegetation for cattle to feed on. Even though the north has more land, it is becoming increasingly unsustainable for supporting nomadic herding due to factors such as climate change, so more herders are pushing down, first towards the Middle Belt and then the south. The effects of climate change are also making it possible for the herders to stay longer in the previously inhabitable south, rife with tsetse flies, perhaps as permanently as in the north. This push southwards has come with numerous problems, clashes with farming communities as population growth has increased the competition for land and water for farming and animal husbandry. These clashes have consistently taken an ethnic or religious dimension, or even both, not just in the very locations of these clashes, as they have reverberated across the country. The problem with insisting that nomadic herding must continue as it does means staying with a mode of business that does not work for anyone, including the cattle herders themselves. Let us briefly examine the cost to them. First, there is the fact that herding cattle hundreds of kilometers back and forth means having to settle for lower quality animal products, whether it be meat, milk, or leather. It also means limited access to veterinary services and, importantly, security risk for herders who continue to be victims of cattle rustlers who see them as sitting ducks. This has led the herders to arm themselves as protection against cattle rustling. But these weapons, obtained illegally, have also been used on innocent civilians, attacks which have been continually justified as vengeance attacks for unprovoked attacks on Fulani herders. Nonetheless, this seemingly endless cycle of violence has created animosity across the country towards not just Fulani herders, but the Fulani ethnic group. Secondly, nomadic herding means that generations of children born to them lack access to modern education. Despite the existence of a National Commission for Nomadic Education since 1989, it has had limited success in achieving its goals. As at the last count in December 2020, at least 3.5 million children of herders are out of school, almost certainly dooming them to the same archaic model of animal husbandry, or even worse, criminal activities such as cattle rustling, which have often been carried out by either current or former herders too. Evidently, this model is not working for anybody. Around the world, advanced methods of animal husbandry are being practiced to make the most of resources while increasing production of meat and milk. On the other hand, Nigeria remains stuck in an outdated model for raising cattle. It needs to be pointed out that even without the ban on open grazing, this model cannot hold up for much longer. Between rising ethnic tensions, increased violence, and climate change, which demands more deliberate management of land and water resources, nomadic herding is in the last throes of its existence in Nigeria. What the ban ought to do is to galvanize the country's policymakers collectively towards solutions. While some states believe that the way forward is to provide grazing reserves for herders, Others are of the view that herders should purchase land for their business activities. After all, it is a private business and should not receive preferential treatment compared to other types of businesses. The federal government has a national livestock transformation plan intended to transform the industry and bring an end to the farmer-herder conflict. However, the plan is not yet publicly available and has not been made operational. Even though it was approved by the Federal Executive Council in January 2019, implementation of the plan has been held back by funding strategies made worse by the pandemic in 2020. There is also a clear lack of urgency from the presidency in promoting the plan to the states and the general public. This lack of urgency compounds the feelings of injustice and mutual distrust due to various clashes between herders and farmers, the perpetrators of which have not been brought to justice. This further reduces opportunities for establishment of ranches in many states in the country. Changing the model of livestock herding from nomadic to ranching is critical to resolving existing social and security tensions. The quicker this shift happens, the better the outcomes for all Nigerians.